April 30th, 1943. 4:30 a.m. off the coast of Huelva, Spain. A British submarine drifts through the black waters of the Atlantic. Its deck glistens under a sliver of moonlight, waves licking at the hull. Above, two officers work silently, their breath steaming in the cold air. Between them lies a body, uniformed, lifeless, and destined to change the course of the war. Lieutenant Bill Jewell, commander of HMS Seraph, glances at the man beside him, Naval Intelligence Officer Ewen Montagu. "You're sure about this?" he murmurs. Montagu nods. His eyes rest on the body, or rather, on what it represents. The man is dressed in the full attire of a Royal Marines officer. Trench coat buttoned tight, boots polished, dog tags gleaming under the dim light. In his attaché case are the invasion plans of the Allied command, every detail pointing to one false conclusion: that the next Allied invasion will strike Greece and Sardinia, not Sicily. The officers salute as the weighted stretcher tips forward. The body slips into the dark water, disappearing beneath the surface. The waves close over him with a quiet hiss. For a long moment, no one speaks. Then Montagu mutters, "Godspeed, Major Martin." The name, Major William Martin, is pure fiction. The man in the water is a Welsh homeless man named Glyndwr Michael, who died after ingesting rat poison. Now, through an elaborate web of forged documents and deception, he has become the centerpiece of Operation Mincemeat, a plan so improbable, even the men who conceived it struggle to believe it will work. Beneath the still surface of the Atlantic, the corpse begins its slow drift toward the Spanish shore. And if everything goes according to plan, Hitler himself will soon be reading his briefcase. March 1943. London, room 13, Admiralty building. The air is heavy with cigarette smoke and secrecy. Maps of the Mediterranean cover the walls, dotted with red pins and handwritten notes. In the center of the room, two men stand over a table stacked with classified folders. One is Ewen Montagu, a naval intelligence officer with a lawyer's precision and an actor's flair for detail. The other, Charles Cholmondeley of MI5, wears the look of a man who has spent too many nights awake among files and lies. Montagu breaks the silence. "If the Germans won't believe what we tell them," he says, "perhaps they'll believe what they find." The idea sounds absurd, even suicidal. Drop a body off the coast of neutral Spain, make it look like a courier killed in a plane crash, and ensure it carries top-secret documents that mislead German intelligence. Spain, sympathetic to the Axis, would hand the papers to Berlin. It's deception by corpse, and it's never been tried before. Montagu gestures toward a folder marked Operation Barclay, the broader Allied deception plan meant to conceal the invasion of Sicily. "This could make them believe we're hitting Greece," he says, tapping the map. "They'll shift troops, artillery, and aircraft away from Sicily, all for a dead man." Cholmondeley smirks. "All right," he says quietly. "Let's find our man." The search for a suitable body begins in the most unlikely of places: a coroner's office in London. Days later, a pathologist produces the body of Glyndwr Michael, a 34-year-old drifter who died after accidentally consuming rat poison. His lungs are intact enough to suggest drowning, and his body shows no signs of violence. Perfect for their fiction. Montagu gazes at the corpse, his voice low. He deserves a name, a life, something. They give him one. Major William Martin, Royal Marines. They invent an entire existence for him, a fiancée named Pam, a father in London, a history of service. Montagu even commissions a photograph of a young woman from the office to pose as Pam. Her picture is slipped into Martin's wallet, along with love letters, theater tickets, and overdue bills. Intimate details that make the lie breathe. By the time they're done, Major Martin feels as real as any man alive. Next, the deception deepens. Expert forgers craft letters between senior officers, including General Nye, the British Deputy Chief of Staff, implying that Allied forces are preparing to invade Greece and Sardinia. The documents use coded references and official stationery so authentic that even experts would hesitate to doubt them. Montagu studies the finished letter by lamplight. "One piece of paper," he murmurs, "and the fate of thousands could hinge on it." Cholmondeley replies, "Let's hope the Germans are better at reading than swimming." As they leave the Admiralty that night, the city outside is draped in blackout darkness. Somewhere across the channel, German analysts are dissecting every scrap of Allied intelligence. None of them know that, within weeks, a dead man named William Martin will deliver the most convincing lie of the war straight into their hands. April 17th, 1943. Clyde Estuary, Scotland. A heavy fog rolls over the harbor as HMS Seraph, a British submarine under the command of Lieutenant Bill Jewell, prepares to depart. On the dock, Ewen Montagu and Charles Cholmondeley stand in their trench coats, silent as the crew loads a long, sealed canister onto the deck. Inside lies the body of Major William Martin. Montagu gives the canister one last look before turning to Jewell. "No one aboard is to know the truth," he says. "Not the crew, not even your XO. You're transporting cargo." Jewell nods, his face unreadable. "Understood, sir." The submarine slips beneath the gray waves, engines humming low, its course set for the Spanish coast near Huelva, a region crawling with German informants disguised as fishermen and consular staff. Below deck, the crew works in tense silence. They have been told only that the mission concerns vital intelligence. The smell of diesel and salt mixes with the sweat of men who have not seen daylight for days. In the aft compartment, a single sailor stands watch over the canister. No one speaks to him. After 10 days submerged, HMS Seraph surfaces just before dawn on April 30th. The sea is calm, the horizon still dark. Jewell and his officers step out onto the deck, their breath misting in the cold air. The canister is unsealed, and the body is carefully lifted out. The forged identification papers, the wallet, the watch, every detail checked one last time. In his inside pocket rests the leather briefcase, chained to his belt. The invasion plans. Montagu's voice echoes in Jewell's mind. "Make sure he looks like a man who fell from the sky." They attach a life jacket, ensuring the body will float to shore. Weights are fixed to keep it partially submerged, just enough to suggest a plane crash. Jewell opens his logbook. "Time of release, 0430 hours, he notes. Then quietly to his men, "Godspeed, Major." The stretcher tips. The body slides into the black water with a soft splash, drifting gently away into the fog. No one speaks for a full minute. Only the sound of waves and the low hum of the engines fills the silence. Then, with a deep sigh, Jewell orders, "Submerge." As Seraph disappears beneath the surface, the tide carries the corpse slowly toward the Spanish coast. Within hours, fishermen from Huelva will spot something floating in the water. The beginning of a deception so elegant, it will travel from the hands of a Spanish coroner to the desk of Adolf Hitler himself. But for now, the ocean keeps its secret, and the war, unknowingly, begins to shift. May 1st, 1943, Huelva, Spain. The sun rises over the Andalusian coast, the light catching on fishing boats drifting near the shoreline. Among them, a local fisherman named Jose Antonio Rey peers into the shallows and spots something tangled in seaweed. It's the body of a man in uniform. Boots, trench coat, belt, and a life jacket. By the time the corpse is brought ashore, the Spanish authorities are alerted. Within hours, the body of Major William Martin, Royal Marines, is lying on a wooden table inside the coroner's office. His briefcase, chained securely to his wrist, draws immediate attention. The Spanish are officially neutral, but Huelva is crawling with Axis spies. And one of them, a German informant named Adolf Klaus, has already heard about the discovery. While Spanish officials send a cautious report to Madrid, Klaus moves quickly, bribing local officers and reporting the news directly to the German embassy. Within days, the information reaches Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, head of the Abwehr, German military intelligence. Back in London, Ewen Montagu and Charles Cholmondeley can only wait. Their plan depends entirely on the subtle dance of bureaucracy and curiosity. That Spanish officials will open the briefcase discreetly, share the contents with German agents, then quietly return it to the British with a convincing story. May 5th, Madrid. The documents are opened. Spanish intelligence carefully dries the papers, photographed in secret for transmission to Berlin. One of the letters, from General Nye, discusses supposed Allied plans to invade Greece and Sardinia. Another letter mentions the fictitious Fifth Army Group and its preparations in the eastern Mediterranean. It is exactly what Montagu had hoped the Germans would read. In Berlin, the photos reach the Abwehr office by May 8th. The intelligence analysts pore over them, noting the realistic phrasing, the signatures, the water damage consistent with a plane crash. They can't find a flaw. Within hours, the information is sent directly to Hitler's headquarters at Rastenburg. Back in Spain, the British embassy receives word that a body has been found, and importantly, that the documents have been recovered unopened. Montagu, reading the cable in his London office, exhales slowly. "If they're telling us that," he says to Cholmondeley, "it means someone already has opened them." He allows himself a rare smile. Exactly as planned. Meanwhile, the body of Major William Martin is buried with full military honors in the Spanish soil of Huelva. Locals stand solemnly as the Union Jack drapes the coffin. On the headstone it reads, "Major William Martin, Royal Marines. Born 1907, died 1943. Greater love hath no man than this." No one in that small Spanish cemetery could have guessed that the man beneath the earth was neither Major nor Marine, and that his false life was now reshaping the greatest invasion in modern history. May 12th, 1943. Führerhauptquartier, Rastenburg, East Prussia. In the dimly lit war room of the Wolf's Lair, Hitler leans over a spread of maps that stretch across the Mediterranean. The lamps cast long shadows over the table. Aides stand at rigid attention, awaiting his decision. Before him lies a decoded summary from the Abwehr. Intelligence obtained via Spanish intermediaries, marked urgent. British officer killed in plane crash near Huelva. Documents recovered indicate major Allied offensive in Greece and Sardinia. Hitler's eyes narrow. "So, Sicily is a diversion," he mutters, almost to himself. Field Marshal Jodl, cautious as ever, clears his throat. "Mein Führer, our reconnaissance suggests continued buildup in North Africa aimed towards Sicily." Hitler shakes his head. "No, the British will strike where we least expect. Greece. The Balkans are the key to the Mediterranean." He stabs a finger at the map. "Reinforce Greece and Sardinia. Immediately." That single decision, born from a dead man's pocket, begins to ripple across Europe. Within 48 hours, German divisions start redeploying from Sicily to Greece. The 1st Panzer Division is ordered north, Luftwaffe squadrons redirected to the Aegean, and coastal defenses in Sicily left undermanned. The deception has taken hold. Meanwhile, in London, Ewen Montagu receives confirmation from intercepted German communications. The message is brief but clear. Enemy convinced of Greece operation. Sicily forces reduced, he allows himself a breathless laugh. They've taken the bait, he says. Hook, line, and sinker. In mid-July, as the real Allied invasion of Sicily, Operation Husky, begins, German forces are still scattered across the Mediterranean, waiting for an attack that will never come. The British 8th Army and the American 7th Army land under far lighter resistance than anticipated. From the beaches of Gela to the cliffs of Syracuse, the outcome is already shifting. Within weeks, the Allies secure Sicily, a victory that will lead directly to the fall of Mussolini and open the door to the invasion of mainland Italy. All because of one corpse. July 1943, London. Montagu sits alone in his office, a telegram in hand. The message reads simply, Operation Husky successful. Enemy deception confirmed. He stares at the words, then at a small photograph on his desk. The smiling young woman who played Pam, fiancée of the fictional Major William Martin. Around her, the fabricated life of their imaginary officer remains preserved in an old folder. Ticket stubs, love letters, a bank statement, a set of keys that open nothing. Charles Cholmondeley knocks on the door. It worked, he says softly. Montagu nods. And no one will ever know how. He's only half right. For decades, Operation Mincemeat will remain classified. Its details buried beneath layers of secrecy. The world will know of D-Day, of Normandy, of the great battles that followed. But the quiet deception that shifted Hitler's armies will go largely untold. Still, in that moment, both men understand the truth. Their strangest, riskiest idea, a corpse with a briefcase, saved tens of thousands of lives. Outside, the rain taps softly against the window panes. Montagu lifts his glass and murmurs, almost like a toast, to Major Martin. And somewhere in the Spanish earth near Huelva, under a modest gravestone, lies the man who never lived, and whose death changed the fate of the world.